It all began with a letter, a cream-colored envelope, neatly folded and slipped into a second-hand novel at a bookstore in downtown Austin. Leah, a 24-year-old nursing student with auburn curls and tired eyes, wasn't looking for love that day. But when the letter fluttered out of the pages and landed at her feet, it changed her life. Inside was a handwritten message, in slanted cursive. To the stranger who finds this, if you believe in second chances, write me back. J. There was a P.O. box written at the bottom. Curiosity turned into compulsion. Leah couldn't stop thinking about the mysterious J. She wrote back, heart thudding, not knowing who would receive her words. 2 weeks later, a reply arrived. His name was Jordan Hale, 27, a war veteran, recovering from trauma. He loved jazz, black coffee, and motorcycles. But more than anything, he loved writing. It was how he processed pain. What began as playful pen-pal exchanges quickly turned into something deeper. Letters flowed like confessions between them, raw, honest, and beautiful. Leah had never felt so seen, so understood. They hadn't even met, yet she was falling for him. Until one rainy Friday night, a letter arrived that read simply, "I'll be in Austin next weekend. I need to see you." They met at a tiny diner lit by neon lights and the smell of burnt coffee. Jordan walked in wearing a leather jacket, dark jeans, and a crooked smile that made Leah's stomach flip. His hair was longer than she'd imagined, his voice deeper, his touch, when their hands brushed, sent shivers down her spine. That night, they didn't go home. They ended up in her tiny apartment, bodies pressed together like they had waited lifetimes. His hands were gentle, yet desperate. Her lips trembled beneath his, tasting longing and fear. It wasn't just sex, it was connection, vulnerability, hope. For months, they lived in that magic. Jordan stayed in town. He'd meet her after shifts. She'd make him grilled cheese sandwiches at 2 a.m. They kissed under streetlights and slow danced in the living room to music only they could hear. But then the letters stopped. At first, Leah thought maybe the mail was just late. But then it was a week. Then 2. No text. No call. No letter. She waited outside the mailbox every morning like a girl who believed in miracles. She held onto the memory of his last kiss on her shoulder, the way he whispered, "You're the safest thing I've ever known." But he was gone. No warning. No goodbye. Finally, unable to stand the silence, she went to the small studio apartment he'd rented just 5 blocks from her. The blinds were closed. The mailbox was stuffed, and taped to the door was a pink eviction notice. Gone. No trace. No Jordan. Leah's heart didn't break in a loud, dramatic way. It crumbled quietly, between shifts at the hospital, in the shower when no one could hear her sobs, in the middle of folding his old hoodie she still refused to wash. Then one night she saw him, downtown, smiling. Not alone. He was walking down 6th Street, arm around a tall blonde in designer heels, her laughter echoing into the night. Leah froze. Her breath caught in her chest. She watched as Jordan leaned in, whispered something into the girl's ear, and kissed her like she was his entire world. Like Leah had never existed. Her knees buckled. The letters. The promises. The night they'd made love on her rooftop under the stars. All of it lies? The next day, Leah did something she never thought she would. She wrote him again. "You disappeared. You looked me in the eye and said I was your peace. But maybe you were just another storm. Tell me, was any of it real?" A week later, a letter came. It was short. "I thought I could be that man, Leah, but I never was. I needed something real. I thought you were it. but I don't know who I am anymore. I'm sorry I hurt you. I didn't mean to love you and leave you, but I did. No explanation. No answers. Just guilt dressed in ink. But Leah, she didn't burn his letters. She kept them in a box under her bed. She reread them every time she wanted to hate him, because they reminded her that once, even if just in words, someone saw the softest parts of her and kissed them with poetry, even if he never meant to stay. 3 months passed. Leah had stopped waiting by the mailbox. She had started working longer shifts, picking up extra nights to silence her thoughts. But some nights, when the city was quiet and her apartment was darker than usual, she'd open that old box under her bed and read his words all over again. You're the safest thing I've ever known. I don't want to imagine a world without your laughter. Lies, beautiful, devastating lies. One Saturday evening, while walking through the downtown farmer's market with her friend Maya, Leah froze again. There he was, Jordan, standing under the same red awning where he once bought her sunflowers. But this time he wasn't laughing. He wasn't smiling. He was alone. Their eyes met. He didn't run. She didn't flinch. He walked toward her slowly, cautiously. Leah, he said, his voice just as deep but shakier than before. She folded her arms, heart pounding. You don't get to say my name like that anymore. I know, he said, lowering his head. I didn't expect to see you here. You didn't expect me to keep living in the city. You ghosted me in. Her tone was sharp, but her chest ached. You broke me, Jordan. Do you even know what it's like? I begged the sky for a letter, a sign, anything, and you gave me silence. Jordan's jaw tightened. I was scared. I didn't think I was good enough for you. I thought if I left without a trace, maybe you'd forget me faster. Her voice cracked. I never wanted perfect, Jordan. I just wanted real. He reached into his coat and handed her an envelope. I wrote this months ago. Never had the courage to send it. Leah hesitated, then took it. That night, under the soft hum of her bedside lamp, she read the final letter. Leah, you were the only person who ever made me feel like I could be more than my scars. You didn't fall in love with the soldier. I think you fell for the boy who never felt safe. And that terrified me. I ran because I didn't want you to see the dark parts of me I hide even from myself. But every night, I wrote you letters I never mailed. I loved you, and I was a coward. I'll carry that regret like a wound that never heals. Yours, always in ink. Jordan, she cried, not because she wanted him back, but because she finally understood he did love her, just not enough to stay, not enough to fight, and that wasn't her fault. The next day, Leah wrote one last letter. She didn't send it. She burned it, watched the flames curl his name into smoke. Then, for the first time in months, she put on red lipstick, tied her curls into a bun, and walked outside like she wasn't someone who once begged for a love that lived only in letters. She was done reading his words. It was time to write her own story.